Hello and welcome to Tales from the Twist, the podcast where we recap your childhood. My name is Joe Lewis, and I'm joined today by a man who has no fear. It's Anthony Bull.
Yeah, you're dang right about that, Joe. Do you know why I don't have any fear?
Why is that?
Because I faced it.
You faced it long ago. How did you face your fear?
I stayed overnight, just like young Bronson, in a cemetery.
Did you really?
Yeah. Stayed overnight. Was there any ghosts? No. Were there people or police officers who came along and just told me to try to move along? Yes, there was. And was this a fake story? Yes, it was.
Oh, okay.
Because I have nothing but contempt for people who make fun or make light of cemeteries and the dead. I think they are, I'm sorry, but I feel like they're a lower tier form of animal. Now, if you have an interest in the macabre or the cemeteries or something like that, fine. But the people who do that ghost stories horse shit are completely disrespecting the dead and also the dead people's families by doing that crap. If I was a ghost, I would come around and kick the crap out of you people.
Something I've always wanted to do is have a horror movie marathon in a cemetery. And I imagine that you're not too fond of that
I'm
idea.
not too fond of that, all right?
We are talking about the dead.
You can do that, but I'll look at you with contempt.
We are. The reason that we're talking about the dead and talking about fear is because we are talking about Season 4, Episode 6, Face the Fear, which is an episode of Around the Twist. That's the show that we're going to talk about today, so let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's
do it. We open Around the Twist with a teaser, usually, and this week, our teaser is two different Bronsons, and they accidentally run into each other in a spooky forest.
Except they don't. They don't connect because it's on a green screen and they were shot at two different times, so they couldn't touch each other.
And they smash into each other almost.
And
we see a scary font say, Face the Fear.
I liked it. Yeah.
What'd you think of the scary font?
It was cool. It was also like a negative image, and I mean like a negative coloured image with a scary font and a zoom. It sort of worked, I felt. Made you feel a little bit scared, a little bit frightened as a kid. Imagine it would as an adult too.
A little bit freaked out.
You're like, oh God, what's going on? Oh no, what's on the TV?
We open the episode itself with a cliff. The cliff's near the lighthouse, and then we have two policemen with dogs searching for a crazy criminal who's got a map that shows the lighthouse on it.
Yes.
I don't know why he needs, an elaborate map to find the lighthouse, and we'll get into a little bit later.
You should point out that it's, I think we'll point out a little bit, we'll describe the cliff lighthouse situation. Because
okay.
I think what the fans are probably thinking is that it's like they're at the lighthouse itself and at the cliff. And it's more like the sand dune-y part at the bottom of the cliff. And the criminals are ahead quite far, and you see the police in the background, they're trying to find him. And obviously he's looking for a place to hide. So where does he hide, Joe?
In the lighthouse.
Lighthouse shed? Is it lighthouse shed?
He runs up to the lighthouse away from the police, and he's trying to find shelter.
Yes.
And the best place that he can see is the lighthouse, but not the lighthouse, in fact, because the door's closed and locked, because Tony is, in fact, a responsible adult. He goes into Tony's shed.
That is correct.
Which is not closed and locked, because Tony isn't really a responsible adult.
Well, I mean, who locks their shed back in the olden times?
Who locks their shed now?
A lot of people do, because you just can't trust your neighbours anymore. Back in the old times, you could just, your neighbour would borrow your shovel, and he'd say, I'll put it back in your shed, mate. Now, no, he steals your shovel, and then you catch him, and he's stealing something else from you. Bloody garden gnome thief.
I've been to your backyard here, once.
Yes.
Do you have a garden shed?
No.
Where do you keep all of your
in the garage
man tools?
And I don't really have man tools, because I don't like nature.
Where do you keep your mower?
It's in the what's his name?
Garage.
Garage, yeah. A lot of things are in the garage, man. I want to get a shed, potentially, maybe. Or maybe I just want to pave over my backyard, because I hate gardening.
Yeah, that'd be a good move.
Yeah, exactly.
So much paving.
If I had my way, I'd convert it all into edible food trees. Because I honestly don't like the idea of making gardens that don't produce food or some purpose. Otherwise, it's just there for my decoration.
You know what you should do? You should put pavers through.
Yeah.
In kind of a path. Bark everything else up. Get rid of all the grass. And just put in, fruit trees and stuff around.
That'd be a good idea, actually.
Make a path with different branches and just fruit and
maybe have a built-in
vegetables.
Barbecue.
Yeah, maybe. You'd have to water them, though.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll water them, but I mean...
Oh, you could just set up an automatic sprinkler system.
I'll just do that instead. Let the robots do it.
We've done it.
Done it. All right.
We've found the answer. We've found
problem
the solution.
Solved, guys. Problem solved.
The world's problems are right at our feet.
Exactly.
This crazy criminal, he busts into Tony's shed, and Bronson is inside the lighthouse. And he's talking to his piggy bank, and he says, "It's nothing personal, pig." and then he smashes his piggy bank to bits.
It's Pete's piggy bank, actually.
Pete's piggy bank?
I'm pretty sure it's
How
Pete's
do you know
piggy bank.
Pete's piggy bank?
Because I think he's in Pete's room.
Is he?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's in Pete's room.
That's something that I didn't catch.
Yeah, someone out there correct me, but I'm pretty sure he's actually in Pete's room and he's trying to take some of the stuff from him. But I could be wrong. I mean, for some reason, I thought he was in Pete's room and he was trying to steal from him.
It doesn't matter anyway because there's barely anything in the piggy bank. You know, there's a few coins, a few silver coins nonetheless. You can't even buy a chocolate frog for that.
And he wants a bike that's $399.
It's an expensive bike. What's the most expensive bike that you've ever bought?
That's not actually an expensive bike at all.
$400 for a bike is expensive. I know that there are bikes that cost thousands of dollars.
So the most expensive
$400 for a bike is
I
expensive.
bought was probably around about $600, right? But most people now with their racing bikes and stuff, what's it, like $1,200? Some of these bikes, you could buy a small car for the same price. To which I say, why don't you? And don't give me this crap of
exercise, man.
Look, piss off, mate. Don't give me that shit, all right, with your exercise crap. Go buy a exercise bike if you want to exercise so much.
Listen, if you're a rich dentist and you live in the city and
You're
you
nothing else
ride
to piss your money on.
yeah, and you ride to work every day, you know, people aren't going to see you rock up in a fancy car. They're going to see you rock up on a fancy bike, so why not buy one?
Smelling of sweat.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I'm sure they shower at work. That's why they have showers in most offices now.
Yeah, that's also weird.
It is weird, isn't it?
Someone's showering at work.
It happens all the time.
I know it does. It's
People
weird.
do it.
People shower at
It's
work.
a thing.
I wouldn't shower at work.
Why not?
Showering at bloody work. It's inherent in the statement.
Yeah, you get there early, you have a bit of a shower.
Bit of a sneaky one, eh?
Bit of a
walk
sneaky-
through the office
sneaky
while no one's
shower.
looking naked.
Yeah.
Maybe. Why not? You can do it.
Yeah,
Go for
roam
it.
around. Maybe a bit of a cheeky wank while you're at it. That's not going
That's
to
what
get you
problem
fired at all.
someone does, though, in those showers.
Yeah, that's an awkward
Probably
scenario,
happens
isn't
in-
it?
Yeah.
You're having a bit of a shower. The guy next to you in the shower next door.
Yep.
There's a liquid on the ground. Ugh.
You don't want to know.
Get foot aids. He's Bronson's saving up for this bike, so he runs outside and he does what every child does when they want to get more money, and he looks for his dad.
Exactly.
And he's in the shed, and Ronnie the rat's in here. Remember?
Yes.
So if we can just flash for a second to our friend Regan Pontillo for a bit of pontification. Yeah, this is the guy who writes in every week when we do Round the Twist to tell us a little bit about what he thought of the episode. And Pontillo said Ronnie the Rat, portrayed by Wayne Hope, who has appeared in such television shows as The Adventures of Lano and Woodley, Thunderstone, and The Librarians. He's also appeared in the films The Castle and Boytown. Are you familiar with this actor of Ronnie the Rat, Wayne Hope?
No, not really. Are you familiar with him?
Yes.
Yep. Who did he play in The Castle?
He's the brother that's in jail.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, what
I
else
believe
is,
his
what else is
name's
he in?
Wayne, actually.
Who's the Adventure of Lano and Woodley? Who was he in that?
I don't know. I have not seen The Adventures of
Because he's
Lano
not
and Woodley.
Lano and he's not Woodley, right?
No, he's not. I assume he's playing the role of the Adventures
Oh, yeah.
in that scenario there. In The Librarians. Librarians is a pretty good show.
What's it about?
Some librarians.
I just wanted to make sure it's about that, okay?
Yeah, it's different to The Librarian, which is an American
TV show?
franchise of movies. It's now a TV show.
Was it a book?
I don't know. But it's about, like, basically an Indiana Jones.
You'd think it'd be about a book.
But why? Just because it's called Librarians?
The librarian, you'd think it should be a book first. I mean, that'd be kind of weird. It'd be like calling something the film, and it's actually a book. I
But
think it'd be a film, right?
no, you could have a book called The Film Curator
I guess you could.
or The Projectionist.
It'd be kind of a boring book.
Why?
It'd be more interesting to see what he's
what if the
projecting.
projectionist is yeah?
Or
What if
curating.
you don't. What if that's the thing about the book? You don't know what he's projecting. That's where the
What if
mystery
he's
comes from.
what if he's curating snuff films that he makes himself?
You know what?
Hey, that's $1 million idea. Boom.
What?
A film curator at a local movie theater plays these snuff films late at night at midnight because he can do that.
Yeah.
Right? Kind of gets off to it, and he makes his own snuff films that he curates. Someone finds him one day, and then that person's the next victim of his snuff film because he hasn't finished his masterpiece yet. There needs to be a climax, and the leading actress is missing.
Is this a film?
Yeah, a
Or
film.
is
Why
this
not?
a book?
It's a film.
But I thought we were going to make a book about a film projectionist.
Forget stuff. Nobody reads books.
Here we go again.
I finished the prints. All right, just so you know.
Did we say who we are at the top of this episode? Yeah, we did.
Hi, I'm Anthony Ball, just
and
so
I'm
you know.
And I'm Joe Lewis. Sorry, my brain works in mysterious ways. Hey, Bronson, he's looking for his dad in the shed, and Wayne Hope's there as Ronnie the Rat hiding away. And he hears this sound. And push, it's stuck, says Faye. Now, my first thoughts was that this was not a birth giving.
It was a birth giving, if you know what I'm saying.
Birth incepting, yes.
Yes.
Did you think that? That was
Yeah, I did. And I forgot that she was pregnant for a bit. And I was like, oh, yeah, there could be pregnancy.
Did you really think that they were going to go there and round the twist?
Like giving birth?
No, birth incepting.
No, but like, again, remember that the whole thing where that episode last season, I can't remember which episode it was, where you basically had Linda moaning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it sounded weird to us, but it wasn't weird to children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Bronson's looking and he's like, what? They're giving birth? What's going on? Faye's giving birth. And he goes outside and he goes around the side of the car. He can see Faye's legs hanging out. And he goes around the side and he's like, oh, it's a kid. And he runs around the car and Tony and Faye are both there and they say, it's an engine.
Good. Dun. Hey.
And Regan says this is one of his favourite personal favourite scenes in Around the Twist when Bronson thinks Faye's giving birth and it turns out that her and Tony are removing an engine from a Volkswagen.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like giving birth, isn't it? Taking a engine out of a Volkswagen.
You're taking its life away.
Pretty much. Well, it's kind of definitely nothing like birth then.
Well, yeah.
Unless you take a real abstract idea from it, which is that giving birth to a child takes your own life away in the abstract sense that you have no social life.
Yeah.
In which case, then yes, it's exactly the same.
You could make that point indeed. Bronson starts begging his dad for an advance on his entire life's pocket money, and his dad says no.
Yes.
And Bronson says something that has been said all across the country and all across the world by young children who don't understand because they're dumb. Why can't we be rich? And Tony says, we are rich in many ways.
And Tony also says, money is not all that important.
No.
To which Bronson then replies, okay, if so, can I have yours? Which I think, yes, very clever response to anyone who says money's not that important. Because then they'll say, oh, no, you can't have any of mine. Well, then clearly money's important to you.
You've skipped a little ahead a little bit, but...
I just wanted to point that in there. It's very important.
What do you think of the idea that money doesn't matter?
That's retarded. It shouldn't be the end goal because that's dumb. Money in and of itself is an end goal because it's a path or it's an ability to achieve your goals.
Yeah, money is the idea that you can do stuff.
Yeah,
you can get stuff.
You can move. You can motivate a change in a particular object or person through money or some other type of finance. So that's what money should be. It shouldn't just be the accumulation of wealth in of itself. That's just if you're just doing that. After a while, you got to ask yourself why. It's like playing a video game and getting points. They're great for a while, but then you got to ask why am I getting all these points?
Yeah.
I've got enough points. There's no purpose in my points anymore. So having a purpose behind your wealth accrual is probably the most important thing.
Okay, so I was listening to the radio this morning, and on Triple J, they had a guy in who's going to be on Hack this afternoon on Hack's television program tonight. This is going to be a couple of weeks ago when this actually is released. But this guy is an investor, and he started when he was 18. He bought his first house when he was 18. He saved up. He worked a job as hard as he could. Had been saving since he was the age of 13 for a deposit, and he is now a multimillionaire. He's worth about $50 million. But how much of that do you think is in debt?
A lot of that is in debt, and
how much? Give me an estimate. He's worth about $50 million.
What's most of his stuff in property?
Houses, property, yeah.
Oh, tons of it. Absolutely.
Give me a number. Give me a number.
Percentages.
Give me a number. A millions number. How much?
Millions.
How many million
he
debt
said he's
is
worth $50 million.
Yep.
All right, so that's his value.
Yep.
I'm going to say around about 40 million.
20
million? He's doing quite well.
Well, you'd have to be if you got up to the millions.
Yeah, well,
otherwise you'd start to be worried.
When you think about it, right, he's the amount he actually owes is what? That's
40%. 40%.
Yeah, so 40%, that's very good. That's a good
pretty
debt.
Good.
That's a good amount of debt. Like it's like if you have $100,000 of value, like my house, something like $300,000, $400,000. My house, having that amount would be something like only owing $100,000 on a home loan. That's pretty good when you think about it.
Yeah.
So a lot of people might bring that up as like, uh-oh. But I'd also bring it up that, the property market's not doing so well, mister. I'm worth $50 million, soon to be worth probably $20 million.
Yeah, he also made a comment.
But $20 million, still good.
I don't want to get too far off the path, But he also made a comment about negative gearing, and he said, I feel sorry for anyone that does negative gearing because you are being rewarded for failing.
Good. Gets a good attitude.
He's like, why do you need to negative gear? Don't negative gear.
Well, because if you earn enough money, there shouldn't be taxation.
See,
let's get into negative gearing shouldn't exist because there shouldn't be these strong taxes on your property investments to begin with.
Yeah, that's true. I don't really see what I kind of understand his end goal, but I don't really understand the end goal of negative gearing something.
Yeah.
So as far as I understand, negative gearing is you not making any profit off it, right?
Well, okay, so yeah, you're not necessarily making much. You're not making profit. You're making a loss trying to repay your investment.
Yeah.
But also taking care of your investment.
But aren't you, if you're negative gearing, aren't you just taking an interest only loan?
Yes, you are.
But then you're not gaining anything.
At some levels. Yes, you are.
What are you gaining?
Well, for starters, you're gaining the potential, the belief that the property price will continue to grow, right? Which it can do. If the property market still goes, right, the way it is.
But you don't own any more of that house.
No, you still own. But the thing is, if you sell that property in the future, right, you can then take that, what you've got in the future, right?
Yeah.
You can then take that to pay off your loan or actually use it to then get another loan for a larger house or a second house. So negative gearing allows for you to keep the retain the amount of income. Yeah. So you can end up paying off not just parts of your home, because remember, it's an investment, so you'll be paying part of your mortgage off.
Yeah.
Right? With that, and also touching up your home.
But you're only repaying the interest, right?
Well, if you get interest only loan, yes.
Yeah.
But it's dude, that gives you really. But if you're getting interest only loan, I don't understand how you can negative gear because you've got very small, limited weekly or monthly repayments. Because interest only loans are exactly that. You're only paying the interest only for a short period, then you pay the full principal and interest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what happens with interest only.
Okay.
So it's usually set for like 5 or 10 year gaps. But the idea is that you're going to take that and then you're going to sell the property in 5 or 10 years.
Okay.
So that's why you do it.
Okay, I see. So you're not making large amounts of money, you're making moderate amounts of money.
Yeah, and the idea is where you else... This argument always comes up, where else do you put your money? Because people might say, it's not doing that much. You can't put it in bonds, because bonds are, in many places, negative. Like in Germany, you pay the German government to house your money. Essentially with bonds, yeah, that's what they do. Stock market's all up and down because of the current economy. And commodities like gold, that might be an okay idea, but you can only put so much in gold.
Yeah.
Whereas a property it's fine. You can leverage the value of that property for more income later.
Investment tips with Joe and Anthony.
Don't take my investment tips. Just consult an investment man, investonologist, or whatever he is.
Investmentologist.
Consult that guy before making any financial decisions.
And Ronnie the rat is hiding under a bench, and he drops a piece of his map to the lighthouse, which is something that, you should probably know where to be able to find because you can see it. Anyway, he drops this piece on the ground, and Tony steps on his hand as he tries to pick it up. And Pontillo says, when Tony inadvertently steps on Ronnie's hand as he's trying to reach for the map, it reminds me a lot of the famous scene in Back to the Future when Marty is trying to reach for the sports almanac on Mr. Strickland's desk. Were you reminded of this scene?
Not until he told me about it, and then it absolutely looks vivid
for you.
Yeah, it totally looks vividly like that.
It clicked in your brain. You had a bit of a brain clickaroony.
A clickaroo, if you will.
What is a clickaroo?
Some sort of kangaroo that clicks. Maybe it's an Australian type of, internet clicking browser device that you use to click on an ad so that it generates more cost for your competitors. I don't know. More clicks to your website? Better? I don't know. A clickaroo.
Tony says, as you said before, money's not important. Then Bronson says, can I have all of yours? Then Tony walks away in disgust.
Because, he doesn't walk away in disgust. He walks away in complete shame because he's just been shown up by Bronson. Because if anyone says that crap and they don't give you their money, then they're clearly full of shit because money is clearly important to them.
Bronson slams the bench and it knocks a bunch of wood down and lands on Ronnie the rat's head, knocking him out.
Good. Knock that guy out.
This is one of the things about this episode, right? Ronnie takes a lot of slapstick, and I don't know why that choice was made. It doesn't really add anything. There's a lot of violence towards Ronnie. It's almost like an episode of Home Alone.
Well, I think that's what they were trying to maybe kind of go for. It's like a little bit.
He's not really breaking in, though.
You can do slapstick to a criminal because it's got a lot of funny things because a criminal has to be really quiet. So you step on his hands or he gets knocked out. Here, that's so funny. And slapstick's always been a part of Round the Twist. Even if you haven't noticed it, a lot of the episodes have had some form of slapstick in it. Doing it to a criminal and making them hurt Well, that's fine because they're criminals. It's like killing Nazis.
Yeah.
You can just do it because they're Nazis.
Yeah, that's true. It becomes a little bit of like one of these low-hanging fruits, though, really.
It does, to be honest. And it kind of annoys me. It's like, I'd like to see, if you're going to kill a Nazi, I'd like to see, at the very least, to establish, yeah, okay, they're bad. Yeah, the Nazis are all kind of bad. But establish to me why this one is bad. You can, if you're going to do a main bad guy as a Nazi, you have to establish why he's bad. He can't just be a Nazi.
Yep. It's almost like in film and TV where the Nazis are always bad.
Yeah.
They're always bad guys. Which is kind of interesting in the film The Pacifier, where the Rock is an undercover agent working, trying to save this family or something. I don't remember.
From neo-Nazis?
No, and the son, he sees the son dyes his hair blonde.
Yeah.
And there's a swastika in his locker, and he confronts him because he's the Rock, and he's like, what's going on here? And he's like, I don't want to talk about it. And he gets real angry, and you're like, oh, you know, the son's turning evil, but then it turns out he's just he's applied for a role in The Sound of Music.
Oh, okay. You know what I'm mad about the Nazis of?
What?
They made the swastika like unusable, and it's a pretty cool design.
Whoa!
Well, it is a cool design. It's a cool fucking design. It's all right angles and shit. Right?
Yeah.
Why do you think all those Indians? Why do you think the Indians and all those other cultures were like, yeah, this is a cool design?
Yeah, this is still the peace one that you're kind of allowed to use,
right?
Sort of.
So they all knew it was a cool design, but then the Nazis used it, and it's like, well, we can't use it anywhere. I got in trouble once for making a Nazi sign when I was like 5 in like some sort of collage thing.
Yeah.
Because I saw Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's a cool design. And I had to have a talking to about how it's a wrong design. And I was like, I don't understand. It's just like a cross thing.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I used to draw swastikas all the time because I was just like, this is a cool design.
Yeah, that happened a lot at my primary school too. Kids were drawing swastikas all over the place, and you don't really understand what's bad about it. Nobody's going to tell you.
Yeah.
Oh, those people did terrible things. And it's like, well, what terrible things?
I don't get it. They killed millions of people.
Can you tell me the political significance of World War II? Please explain to me that.
And then you grow up and you're like, well, hang on, didn't a whole bunch of people kill a whole bunch of people, and didn't all these regimes kill people? Why is the Nazi symbol singled out as the only bad symbol?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch bad symbols, but swastika is probably the single worst one.
It's probably the single worst one, yeah.
But people would argue that that's probably the single worst dictatorship of all time, right?
Well, that's just idiotic and stupid of them to argue that. I mean, it's clearly the worst dictatorship of all time was either Joseph Stalin or Mao Zedong. Their body count for those people, for communists versus fascists, is 5-1.
Yeah.
So,
well, there you go.
Yeah.
They're just piling up the bodies.
They could build a wall out of those bodies.
To keep out the Mexicans?
Keep out the Mongols.
Oh, wow. Okay. Outside, Pete and Linda are about to do some fire pit walking. You know, hot coals walking.
Why not, eh?
Because, you know, Linda's a hippie.
Hippie dippy. She wants to purge herself and face her fears.
And Pete wants to impress the 3 girls.
Yeah.
You know, the 3 girls that change their obsessions every couple of weeks. And Pete says, they will really dig this. And Linda says, nope, you're the one who is going to dig this. And that's me butchering a joke.
Yep. Because Pete has to dig the fire pit. But what? Linda doesn't have to? Linda doesn't have to do any of the work?
Linda's going to meditate.
Oh, that's bullshit. That is bullshit, okay? She's half-assing the work. She should get in there with the shovel as well.
Bronson arrives. Actually, let's talk about this fire pit. Fire pits don't need to be deep.
No, they shouldn't be deep
anyway. They're just coals on the ground.
Yeah. Like, just, it's not hard. It's like what? It's like maybe if you want to contain them, it's going to be...
They shouldn't be deep because then you can't walk across it naturally. You'd have to put your pressure down, which kind of defeats how you're going to do it. Okay, so coal walking, right? It's not a spiritual thing.
Yeah.
It comes down to like a physical mind over matter thing where you're walking quickly across it, so, you know, time and your body doesn't have time to register. I don't know how it works, but basically it's not some spiritual thing. It's, you know, more of a physical phenomenon that you can be able to do it if you walk lightly across them really quickly.
Yeah, well, you just walk across it quite quickly and it'll work. If you hover, then there's a problem.
If you stop or if you tread too heavily,
that's
where you run into problems. But you can...
Probably why I would not do that.
Why? Because you'd be worried about your weight.
No, I just walk really hard. I tread too heavily.
You'd have to practice walking light and quickly.
Can't walk light. Can't do that.
They go...
I have to walk with passion,
with gratitude
and fear.
Gravitas.
if I don't smack the pavement and make people concerned about the loud smacking sound my shoes are making, then I'm not doing my job properly, am I?
I remember being told off in grade 1
Yeah.
for walking too loudly to the library.
Oh.
We're walking in lines, and I was doing the thing where you go with your feet.
Yeah, of course.
And I didn't know how I was doing it. It was just happening. I was like, oh, yeah. Ba, ba, ba. And my teacher's like, stop walking so loudly. I was like, okay. How?
I don't get it. Yeah.
I'm
It's
6
like
years
when
old.
people tell me I type really loudly. Well, I'm sorry. That's how I type. I'm sorry that I type really loudly. Also, I want to impart my message and make it powerful. If I want to abuse that into the keyboard, that's my own business. You got a problem with that?
I've heard that criticism
You know?
as well. You know, so-and-so's typing too loudly. Okay.
Yeah, what are you going to do about it?
How can they stop that?
How can you resolve that? Are you going to type for him? Because clearly that's how he types.
You know how we solve that? We get the mechanical keyboard.
Yeah.
Where are we up to? What are we even talking about?
Five pits.
Five pits. Bronson arrives, and Linda and Pete tell him that they're trying to reach enlightenment through facing their fears. And he begs them for money.
Of course, because he's a beggar.
He's a beggar, just like Marty. And Gribble arrives, and he says, guys, there's something important I have to tell you. But Bronson says he must have lots of money if he's got a nice car like that. And Gribble warns the entire Twist family of Ronnie the Rat. He's a very dangerous criminal that's hidden his money somewhere, possibly in the lighthouse. He's possibly around here. Mm-hmm. So keep on the eye out for him because, you know, it's pretty important that we find him. And I'm here only for your safety, not for any other ulterior motive.
Of course.
And Matron's here as well. Not that that really matters because she doesn't really do anything in this scene. But Bronson admires the Gribble Jr., his bike, because the Gribble gang rock up. That was a really awkward way of saying that.
And they got really cool bikes, kind of like the bikes that Bronson wants to buy.
And Bronson says, you must be rolling in it.
I'm just going to refer to Pontillo's notes here.
Refer
where
away.
Harold basically tries to warn everyone. He says, we don't want to panic anyone. This is Harold. Matron says, then, there's a dangerous criminal on the loose. And Tony comes in with the zinger. Oh, come on. Harold isn't that bad. I like that line. That was a good series of exchange.
Classic
good
Tony there.
Yeah.
Classic Tony. The police with dogs arrive looking for Ronnie the Rat. And one of these police officers is somebody that we've seen before. And this is actually Richard Young, who played James Gribble in Series 2 of Around the Twist. He's looking a lot older now, obviously, because this was a few years later. But this guy is, in fact, Gribble.
He is. He's actually Gribble from Season 2.
And that's something we've said a couple times now.
Yeah.
I'll cut that down. This is something that was pointed out to us by both Pontillo and one of our other listeners, Samu from Finland.
Yep. They pointed out that he's from Season 2. They had this weird thing where this guy would rock up and he'd say his W's weird. One of the police says W's.
Wonnie the Wat.
He'd go, Wonnie the Wat. And I don't understand why they did that. Is that just trying to be funny or...
Is it a flashback to that race episode?
It
where
might
they're all
be.
talking W's? Is there some sort of joke about R's that we're missing?
There is something coming up, right? This is something that happens in this season. People are screwing up their W's for some reason.
Is this foreshadowing?
I hope it is foreshadowing.
What is it foreshadowing of?
Maybe the R's get replaced with W's, so who's called R? Is there anyone with an R in Round the Twist we know of?
Rabbit.
He'd become Wabbit. He'd get swapped out with a soul.
Wow.
I don't know, maybe like parallel universes collide.
Mind-blowing theory here, Anthony. I'm blown away.
You are blown away. I can see it in your face. You're like, whoa.
That's amazing.
Oh my gosh, no way.
Rabbit becomes Wabbit.
Wabbit.
How will I deal?
So we find out that Ronnie the Rat was being housed in Southeast Penitentiary, and his prisoner number is 429786. Right. Which, if you look at that up and you do it to the letters in the alphabet, it becomes D Big He, which I think is basically them saying he's quite big. I think that's the secret code they were using.
Okay. Pontillo goes on to say that this might be the same time that two actors from two different Round the Twist series have appeared in the same frame, alongside Mark Mitchell, who also portrayed Harold Gribble in Series 2.
Yeah?
Okay. Yeah, some information there.
No, that's pretty cool, right?
For your ear holes. So the police officer, he has a reward for Wonnie the Wat because he's left his treasure somewhere at the lighthouse, and Gribble is like, oh no, Twist knows about the reward. So that was his actual ulterior motive there. And Bronson says, how do I get rich?
Yep.
to young Gribble Jr. as his father leaves. And Gribble Jr. says there's 3 magic steps for success and wealth. Number 1, dress for success. Agree or disagree?
Sure, why not?
Step number 2, do the job. Agree or disagree?
Of course.
Yeah. And step number 3, face your fear by staying in a cemetery overnight by yourself.
That one is clearly the truth.
Yep.
That is true. All great business owners have done that. John Rockefeller actually started the tradition. He did. Do you know that he nearly went on a train before going to see Vanderbilt about his railroads? He skipped that train, and the train had actually crashed. And he thought it was the divine providence that he survived.
Wow.
Okay? So he went and visited the cemetery instead overnight. And the ghost came out and said, "Why didn't you come on the train?" And he said, "I don't know, maybe because God wanted me to survive." And then the ghost said, "Yes, he did, and do oil." And he became a new man, strong and confident that God and those ghosts wanted him to sell oil. True story.
You know who actually prevented him from getting on that train?
Who?
Ayn Rand. Savior of capitalism and of trains.
Yeah, yeah, okay, that kind of works. That goes with the train theme. Why not?
Yeah, why not? Why not indeed? Later on, Bronson's in a suit and he's walking down the street.
Gotta dress for success, right?
He's dressing for success, and the Gribble gang are here, and they're like, "Great job, man. That's a great suit." And they say, "But if you really want to do good at real estate, which is the job, you got to do good at it, you need to learn houses. So you got to deliver these pamphlets." So Bronson leaves to deliver a bunch of pamphlets, and Gribble brags that he's being paid $30 to deliver those pamphlets, and will instead only give Bronson 30 cents, and then go and spend the rest on seeing Fright Night 3, which I don't believe there was one. Well, there technically is now that there's a reboot, but there was Fright Night 1 and 2, and then there was a reboot.
So it's actually referring to a real movie. No.
I don't know if there was actually a Fright Night 3, but there was definitely a 1 and a 2, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, when were they released?
Fright Night 1 was in the 80s.
Okay.
I don't know when the second one came out.
All right, that's a bit weird then, isn't it? Because it's like, you'd think it'd be closer to something that exists now.
Horror movie franchises can drag themselves out if they want.
You think it'd be something then instead
Halloween?
of Friday the 13th, 12?
Yeah.
Something random like that?
Freddy's Revenge.
Yeah, or was it Freddy or Jason? Who cares?
Jason X.
Jason X in space.
Yeah, Jason is Halloween. Freddy is...
No.
No, wait. No.
Michael Myers.
Yeah, Michael Myers is Halloween.
You remember that because it's Austin Powers is Halloween.
Jason is Friday the 13th, and Freddy Krueger is
Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah. There you go.
Classic horror movie trivia.
Yeah, with Joe and Anthony.
Bronson delivers his pamphlets from his pram to Benny Hill music, which is something that somebody on the Around the Twist creative staff has become obsessed with.
Yeah. I hope this pays off because it just looks like they're just rehashing ideas.
Yeah.
Maybe it will pay off.
The W's and the music.
Yeah.
What's next?
Asians.
I'd forgotten about that. The good old...
I think the ACTF have forgotten about that.
The good old season 1 casual racism back in action. Bronson delivers to all the houses, and then even the no junk mail houses, which is something I got abused for when I was 12 years old when I delivered a newspaper to a house that said no junk mail because my boss told me to put the newspaper in the no junk mail houses. And this lady came out and shouted at me.
Stuff her.
There was this whole big deal. Her whole family must have been visiting, and they came out and they were confronting her, and I was standing there, and her daughter, who was, a young woman, so she would have been like 30, she was like, "Oh, you can go now." And I was like, "Oh, all right, thanks for that."
Yeah.
Just 12 years old.
You're just 12 years old, trying to earn some money, and you know what? Stuff her. Just put it in anyway. Who cares? Oh, a sign tells me no junk mail. You know what? I'll put it in anyway. What is going to stop someone? What are you going to do? You're going to shoot me? I'm a 12-year-old kid. I feel like that the courts are not going to view your case from shooting me very highly because I'm a 12-year-old kid.
Yep, and this is the case against slave labor or child labor because you can't shoot them if they screw up.
Exactly.
Bronson has delivered to all the houses and is chased away by a dog down the street, back down to where the Gribbles are. And the Gribble gives him 50 cents and tells him to do the third step to success, which means that Bronson will have to stay in the cemetery overnight. And he says, "Don't be scared of ghosts," which is, a weird thing to say.
It's actually super weird that he talks about this because ghosts have been an integral part of this show. And more importantly, Bronson has is thoroughly aware of ghosts' existence.
Okay, where are we at in terms of ghosts in the canon of Round the Twist? Were there any ghosts in season 3 of Round the Twist? Because as far as I understand,
you feel like canon resets every cast, right?
Every cast, every Twist family cast reset. I think the canon resets because otherwise this whole ghost stuff doesn't make sense because they're continually scared of ghosts again when they've already had this ghost experience.
They have multiple meetings with ghosts.
But there was the Von Trapp family ghosts. That was last season. Or
it was.
Season.
It was
this
actually.
Season, right?
That was this season, the Von Trapp family ghost. But was Bronson... Yeah, Bronson was with that because maybe he was Barnaby. They thought he was Barnaby Joyce. You know, and
the episode where Bronson became Barnaby
he's
Joyce.
He's like, I'm not Barnaby! But so yeah, why would he be scared of ghosts? It doesn't make any sense with the canon. Like if we take it as the full canon though, he even kissed a ghost to taste food.
Yeah, that's true. Spirit food. What was
food.
it? Ghost food.
So I don't understand this big fear of ghosts in Round the Twist. It doesn't make any sense. You could have done zombies. Why not a zombie? They've never done one of those before.
And Bronson says, I don't believe in ghosts. They're just a pigment of my imagination.
Well, then clearly you have a short-term memory, Bronson.
You've got bad skin pigmentation there, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
And Bronson goes to the cemetery. It's at night time. And the Gribbles leave. They're taking him there. And he sits next to a big old Greenshaw grave. And I thought, oh, where do I know that name from?
Yeah.
And I thought it was Nell's family, but it turns out it's not. It's just some random rich guy.
Yeah, Greenshaw, because he's short for green.
Or Crenshaw. Crenshaw. And Bronson's sitting there and he says, I'm not scared of ghosts. Even if they did exist,
yeah,
why would they hurt me? And then Crenshaw appears himself and he says, because it says rest in peace and you're disturbing my peace.
You know what? This Crenshaw guy, I absolutely agree with him. All right?
Yeah.
This guy, he says rest in peace, and I understand that I just said that signs shouldn't tell you what to do with bloody junk mail.
Yeah.
But the least you could do is let him rest in peace. Go there during the day and, I don't know, have your little parties there, but at night, let the man sleep, for crying out loud.
Have tea parties, have movie marathons, all you want during the day, but at night time, that's sleeping time for ghosts.
Exactly. Would you like me to come into your bedroom, right, and start setting up a nice little throw rug on top of you, okay, with a little tea party and start making loud music and going, ah, ha, 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 all the dead people, ah, ha, 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 ha. You wouldn't like that because it'd be annoying.
Sacrificing ghosts, having blood rituals, it's all daytime stuff.
And you're trying to sleep because you got work the next morning.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I thought.
Cornelius Crenshaw, who is being portrayed by Alan Hopgood in this. So this is according to the man himself, Pontillo. Mm-hmm. He says that Alan Hopgood has appeared in a multitude of television shows and films since 1959, such as Matlock Police, Homicide, The Flying Doctors, A Country Practice, Something in the Air, Blue Heelers, and Neighbours. Bit of a theme going on there. Lots of old school Australian television shows.
Seems like most actors end up on Blue Heelers at some stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do indeed. Blue Heelers was a bit of a thing for the Australian film industry, just like Underbelly has been in the last decade.
Did you ever watch it?
What? Underbelly?
Blue Heelers?
Blue Heelers. I watched like one episode.
Got a good theme song.
How did it go?
Ding, 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 ding. And then I forget how the rest goes. Down, 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 down.
It turns out that Crenshaw is from a long line of Crenshaws, and he hates money.
Yeah.
Because, money obsession.
Spent his entire life accruing wealth and not utilizing the wealth. Just as like I said, he chased wealth instead of using the wealth he chased for a purpose that served him or his community.
He's tired now. He just wants to have a bit of a nap.
Yeah. He's earned it.
Rest for eternity. And he says, now get out of here. And Bronson runs away home scared.
He's a little coward.
And Crenshaw sees a newspaper for Ronnie the Rat and he goes, that's interesting.
Which is it? Why is that interesting, you reckon?
Because plot. Back at the lighthouse, Bron asks to stay at the cemetery overnight and Tony refuses because he's a sensible adult. No, you can't stay in the lighthouse overnight. Let's not even go into the fact that there's a dangerous criminal on the loose. Mm-hmm. You bloody bastard.
You can't spend a night in the cemetery because that would just make me a terrible parent.
Yes. All manner of things could happen to you.
This is where children learn to not talk to their parents about things and just sneak out.
And this is where Bronson says, But I got to sneeze on this opportunity. I got to rip it from the claws of Clavity, despite any conferences. But Tony says no.
Final word.
And then Bronson says, but, that grumpy old guy's going to be there.
So he'll have company, I guess is what he's saying.
Yes.
Also, who's this grumpy old guy is Tony's first thoughts.
Yeah.
Is he actually real? Why you're spending an entire night in the cemetery with a grumpy old guy? I've never met him before.
Ronnie the Rat appears for a bit of a cameo, and he literally gets caught in a mouse trap. Thank you, Pontillo.
Yeah, it was good though because it was rat in a mousetrap. I didn't pick that up until he found that out. Like I didn't pick the tie-in between rat and mousetrap.
Was it a rat trap or a mouse trap? Do you know the difference?
One's bigger than the other.
One is bigger, correct.
But I don't know which was different. Okay, I can't remember the size, but I'm going to say it was a mousetrap.
I hate rats and mice.
You hate them all?
They gross me out. I think I've talked about it on the podcast before, but I'm just terrified they're going to run around on top of me while I'm sleeping.
Now, you have terrible fears of things.
Or
but
like chewing my privates or something.
That is also a fear. You don't want a rat to chew on you because they have really sharp teeth.
Yeah, and you don't want them chewing on your privates because that would hurt.
You generally don't want anything chewing on your privates.
Yeah, that's true.
Generally, just don't use teeth. No teeth. No teeth on people's privates. That's a good motto. Do not use teeth on other people's privates.
Okay, thanks, Anthony.
Just generally, word of advice from Anthony. Do not use teeth on anyone's privates.
Seems like a pretty good rule of thumb to me. Mm-hmm. Outside, the three girls that Pete loves, that change their obsessions weekly, are now obsessed with hippie shit. And they love watching Pete dig a hole. And Linda announces that they're going to take meditation now for 3 hours to prepare for the walking, the fire walking, the cold walking. But she breaks her meditation as soon as Bronson shows up because she says, "You can't go there. Not that we're afraid of ghosts or anything, but that would be really scary."
Good meditation, Linda.
Yeah, great meditation, you poser.
Yeah.
Pete goes to get pizza with the girls. And
because that actually makes sense to do that. Like what Linda was planning to do is dumb and just like ideologically she's just doing it because she wants to be some hippie yoo-hoo wahoo. Pete's trying to score, although we know he's not really.
It's a bit later on, and Bronson's upstairs smelling his jars, and Pontillo says Bronson rates the odor from his smell jars like a fine wine, full body, yet fruity. He's smelling his jars of smell. He's getting them ready for something. We don't know what's happening here.
This is the most disgusting Bronson yet.
Why?
Like, this is even worse than Season 2 Bronson.
What makes this Bronson more disgusting than Season 1?
He literally has jars of smell.
Yeah.
And he smells them.
How does he jar smells?
I don't know. I don't want to know how he jars these smells. But apparently, he can jar the smells.
It's a special power. He uses the sucker thing.
Well, where did he get that from?
Smell sucker. It's a special vacuum cleaner.
Did he get it from Nell?
Probably.
Uncle Tom? Was it Uncle Tom or was it Pete?
Come here, Bronson. Uncle Tom's got a bit of a present for you. And the ghost, the mysterious... Well, it's not a ghost. The mysterious knight appears and scares Bronson. And then he makes a mess on the floor. The smell's going everywhere. And he's like, "Oh, I love this smell." And then the knight goes, "This is pretty weird." So she leaves.
"You're a weird kid. I'm leaving." Yeah,
you're a weird kid. He/she. We all know it's a she. It's been spoiled now. Let's just deal with it. And downstairs, Tony and Faye are a bit worried about Bronson and his phases. He likes money a bit too much. Maybe he's turning into a Gribble. He likes smells a bit too much. That's kind of weird.
Maybe Tony, you don't like money enough. You know, maybe if you're a bit more industrious like that Gribble guy, you'd have a little bit more. And I don't know, you could do things.
Tony, if you got off the bongs,
and
started thinking rationally,
and did some work,
then you'd appreciate the power of money a little bit more, mate.
Yeah, but you're like, I just love my free Centrelink, and I love my
Melbourne artists.
It's actually interesting. A lot of artists always do swing that way.
To swing what way?
I'd say to swing to the left. Even in artistic communities tend to have a strong preference for that, and it's kind of interesting.
You know why that is?
Because of grants.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons.
That's one of the reasons. I know that.
It's mostly because I think they care more with their emotions than they do with their logic. So they don't actually think what actually works. They just go with what they feel. And as we all know, logic beats emotion. So all of those artists are dumb.
Exactly. Use your emotions for love, but don't use it for anything else, especially for decision making, because that's dumb.
This is why it's always weird when, the American actors and actresses, celebrities get really involved in causes.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, why should we listen to you? You're an actor.
What the fuck do you... Yeah, what do you know
Your
about
job
this?
is literally lying.
Yeah. Actually a good point. I never thought about it that way.
Why should we listen to you?
Why should we listen to you? You're a professional liar.
In the shed, Ronnie has discovered that it's night time, so that he can leave under the cover of darkness, and leaves the shed and dashes for the cache. At the cemetery, Bronson's arrived, and he's searching around with his torch, and he sets up near Crenshaw's grave. And Crenshaw says, "How long are you going to stay here, mate?" And Bronson says, "Just tonight, and then I'll be rich. My 3 steps to success." And Crenshaw says, "I was rich, and I wasn't happy." And Bronson says, "You just don't want others to be rich." This comes back to our idea of the war against young people.
Yeah, exactly.
Bollocks.
Well, it is. It's like, I accrued wealth, blah, blah, blah. Well, you don't want others to be rich. Well, where's your money, Mr. Crimshaw, Crimsafe man? Where is that? Can I have it then? Can you give it to me? Because apparently you hate money. Like, no, you don't hate money? Well, then you're full of shit.
You're talking about something different to what I was talking about. I was talking about more like Bronson saying you're hoarding all the money. No, there is more money in the world, Bronson. You can make money if you want to make money.
Stop being so lazy.
Just
and
because
stop sitting around in cemeteries and hoping that ghosts will give you money.
Just because somebody else is rich doesn't mean that you can't be.
Exactly.
Basically.
But you can take his money too. That also works.
Nobody's stopping you from making money.
Or taking money. It's just saying. I mean, you got to do something, Bronson. You can't just wait for a rich person to give it to you.
And Bronson, he's sitting around. He's not too happy about this. At the cemetery, the police are here. And they're still searching with their dogs. And they say, we can't work 8 hours plus, or the dog union will be really mad at us. So not only do children have unions now, but it's now the dogs.
Well, of course the dog has to have a union, right?
Are robots going to have a union when they become a thing?
Yeah, probably. They'll have a union one day.
The robot union?
Oh, they will have a bloody robot union. They'll have a bloody civil robot union. And then it'll be the end of society as we know it.
We've talked about this a little bit on the podcast before, but you hate robots.
No.
And you hate the workplace change to automation.
No. So it's easy just to say I hate robots, and it's funny.
You do.
It's funny to do that as well. I like kind of robots. They're okay. I find the whole concept though of trying to make roboticize everything a giant existential crisis that humanity is going to face, and no one really wants to have that conversation now. They just want to let it march ahead. I mean, when a robot exists and it's better than you, what purpose do you have in existing? Should you exist in your current form, or will you be forced to upgrade to even be human? And in that stage, what is human?
Well, my point was...
And also, more importantly, okay, it's not that I don't think... It's that businesses will lay off people just because it makes economic sense for them to do so. And whilst there will be equilibrium, that 5-10 year period is not enough time for people to say, I'll find a job in that 5 year, 10 years period, but my mortgage won't pay itself. My children won't get fed. I can't live for 5 or 10 years on false hopes.
All right, we understand the argument. My point was, the way that civil rights movements go is that if you're not on board, you're the enemy.
Of course.
You're the racist, you're the homophobe, you're the whatever. So you're going to be the villain of tomorrow.
Yeah, I probably will be.
There's going to be movies where really bad things happen to people. You're going to be the Nazi.
Yeah, probably.
Of the future television. People who hate robots.
No, that argument, though, is completely flawed.
What argument?
And I'll tell you why. It's the wrong side of history argument. And it applies today.
No, but that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and I know it applies today, and it also applies for in the future. It also applied 50 years ago, because it assumes that you might know the future, and thus you should make decisions based on how you'll be perceived in the future. For starters, one, you'll be dead by the time anyone can really make a distinction of, was this guy good or bad? So you shouldn't give a shit to start off with.
It's true.
2, you don't know the future. We could regress into an evil society that allows pedophilia, like the Greeks, right? You don't know that, right?
Yeah.
So that could be morally okay in the future. Why has everything progressed towards what you think it will be?
Well, that's
my argument. That's all I'm saying.
That's not what I was saying. I
know
was
what you're
just
saying,
saying,
but
people are going to hate you in 10 years' time.
They already hate me now, so that's fine.
Yeah, we get a lot of...
I speak truth. I speak truth. Truth to power.
I get a lot of hate mail about Anthony.
Yeah.
Anthony, I don't like you. You hate robots. I love robots.
Speak truth to power, and the will to power is great.
I'm from the future. Robots are the best. Why are you so evil? All the regular kinds of emails you
They
get.
call me Rittler or Rabitler or something, some modification of Hitler and robot.
Mr. and Mrs. Gribble have followed the police here to snatch the reward prize when the police find the man in question, Ronnie the Rat.
So they're just trying to stop the police, and they're trying to figure out whether or not the police can actually claim the reward.
No, which they think they can't, which I think is true.
It's absolutely true because it's within the scope of their role.
Yes.
So.
And the Gribble gang have sheets on and are pretending to be ghosts because they're planning on scaring Bronson. Ronnie the Rat is here too, looking for his treasure, because apparently it's here in the cemetery and not the lighthouse, as we were led to believe earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Tony gets Pete and Linda from bed, and he says, "Let's go get Bronson from the cemetery, because he's not here, because I checked on him and he wasn't there, so he must be at the cemetery, because he told me he was going to go there." And we notice that Pete has fallen asleep with pizza on his bed. What an animal.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Crenshaw tells Bronson that money is really hard work, and he just wants eternal rest.
Yeah.
But cash is a problem. He wants to get rid of it. He's got a cash problem. And Ronnie and Gribble, they're converging on the grave, and the police are here too. And they see the others. He sees the Gribble gang, and he sees Ronnie the Rat, the policeman that is, plural. And Crenshaw sees Ronnie approach and tells Bronson not to be scared. Don't be scared of him. He's just a dirty criminal. And the Twists and Gribbles and everyone, there's just people roaming about everywhere. The cemetery's so full. Oh my goodness.
It's a nice carnival of hilarity, if you will.
Ronnie and the Gribble gang, they scare each other. They jump into each other. So Ronnie the Rat, the criminal, comes face to face with 3 Gribble gang members wearing sheets as disguises or ghost disguises, and they both shout and they're really scared. And then the Gribble gang, because they're idiots, and this is a goopity goop goop moment,
one of those moments, yep.
And the Gribbles fall into a grave, an open grave that has just been left there with no markers. And Bronson, it turns out, has brought his smells as protection. So he's like, "Don't worry, I'm fine." With all this screaming going on,
he's brought chemical warfare.
Yes, and Ronnie the Rat is trying to break into Crenshaw's tomb, and he steals this big bag of money that he's left there, but Crenshaw becomes really big and scary.
Huge, pretty big.
And we find out now that apparently this entire episode, Bronson didn't realise that he was a ghost.
Doesn't make any sense.
It's not seeded at all.
No, it's not. You believe that he thinks ghosts are real, because he literally says, "Rest in peace," and he runs away scared. So you'd think it's a ghost. But then it doesn't make sense that then he just goes there and he's fine with Grimshaw, whatever. Tracy Grimshaw. Yeah, that's her name. All right.
Sure,
Grimshaw. Being okay with his existence. Shouldn't he be scared?
I don't know, man.
I think it was a mix-up with the showrunner? The bloody script man.
Ronnie the Rat knows that ghosts can't touch him, but there's heaps of people approaching. The police are approaching, the Gribbles are approaching, the Twists are approaching, so he runs away. But Bronson goes, "Oh no!" And he grabs one of the smells out of his bag and throws it at him, and explodes like a smoke bomb, and Ronnie the Rat collapses.
Mm-hmm.
Crenshaw is now really tired, but he can rest now that the money is gone. So he thanks Bronson for allowing him to have some eternal rest. Thanks, Bronson. The Twists arrive, and the police grab Ronnie the Rat and the money.
Yeah.
And they offer Bronson a reward, but Tony grounds him. He says, "You can't go and pick up your reward, but actually I'm proud of you." So a few mixed messages here from Tony the Twist.
So with Tony Twist's mixed messages, just, you broke the rules, so I'm very mad at you, but I'm also very proud at you. Which I think is a good father thing to do, right?
Mixed messages are always good to send.
You should always send mixed messages to your kids. It will make them. It'll make them grow up and to be good adults. Always.
Mr. and Mrs. Gribble are looking for James and his friends, and they fall in the grave as well. And Crenshaw is not pleased with all the shouting, and he shouts out, "Be quiet!" And then they're even more scared, and they can't get out of the open grave. So I guess they'll be spending a night in the cemetery instead.
Well, that's because they work really hard and are rich, so they've got one foot in the grave, if you will.
Yeah, they're the Nazis of today, rich people, aren't they?
Well, of course they are. Well,
evil.
They've always been the Nazis, rich people. Because the reason why is because there's always less rich people than there are poor people.
Yeah.
Or even middle class people.
Easy targets.
Easy targets. So you just blame everything on the rich, or you blame it on a minority. It's an ages old custom.
The next day, Pete and Linda They're preparing for their coal walk, but Bronson rides over it with his new bike and ruins it. I believe he would have popped his tyres here.
Yes,
right?
he would have popped his tyres. I've ridden a bike before, and I know for a fact, I actually have seen someone do this before.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they've laid out some coals, or done something similar, or they tried to ride over a campfire, and you pop your tyres riding over any coals. So, sure, you just ruined your new bike there, Bronson. Good on you.
Not only has he ruined his new bike, but apparently he's ruined the coals, which I don't believe he has. And Linda yells out, "Oh, you've ruined the coals, Bronson." And Bronson says, "Don't worry about it. We'll just set up another one. Who cares?" And Linda says, "That boy has no idea of spiritual values." So bringing it back from monetary values to spiritual values and concluding the episode.
It also demonstrates how much of a poser someone like her, who's trying to say she's got spiritual values, when in reality she's just trying to reconcile her own insecurities.
That is a good point. We come to the end of the episode, and Pontillo has one more note. He's got his summary of the episode, and he says, "It's a well-structured and written episode overall. I wouldn't change anything about it. One of my favourite in Series 4. And he's going to give it 9 out of 10 bowls of spaghetti with a nice glass of full-body yet fruity wine.
That's probably the highest rating anyone's ever given. Like, any of us have given.
I think we gave some pretty high ratings to Season 1 episodes back in the day.
Yeah, probably.
Do you remember? I remember I gave the spaghetti episode pretty high rating.
Yeah, I would imagine you would have. But I wouldn't have given it a high rating because I was waiting to see more.
Yes.
So I didn't know.
Still my favourite episode, by the way, Spaghetti Pig Out.
Write in and tell us your favourite episode.
Yes, what is your favourite episode? And Anthony, what did you think of this favourite episode?
I thought it was alright. It's not a bad episode. It's a good episode of Season 4. I gave it 6 out of 10 bowls of spaghetti and a side order of garlic bread for the vampires.
It doesn't have vampires in this episode.
Yeah, well, that's because they had garlic bread, eh?
Alright, this is what we're dealing with. I'm going to give the episode 5 out of 10 bowls of Ghoulios.
Ooh, spooky.
I thought it was okay. I think it was possible. I think Ronnie the Rat was over the top.
Yeah.
I think the slapstick was too much, and I think the whole cemetery thing was kind of a bit convoluted.
Yeah. I'm surprised, actually, that you missed this and Pontillo missed this, but in the cemetery, the police have a Ghostbusters joke.
Well, I did notice it. I didn't write it down.
So when it was basically, they just did the whole, who are you going to call? But then one of the cops said Ghostbusters, and honest to God, anytime someone makes a who's you going to call joke, it should just leave it as who you're going to call, because that's funny. Saying Ghostbusters, it's like, yeah, we get it. We know what the joke is.
It gives you a bit of an insight into how the writers of Around the Twist, how low they thought they were writing for their audience.
Yeah.
Like how stupid they're treating their audience. It's
Kind
like
of, yeah.
Adam Sandler
At least
movie.
for jokes. At least for jokes, necessarily, yeah.
It's like in an Adam Sandler movie. There's the joke, and then they explain the joke.
Yeah, pretty much. You've nailed it just there.
Which is comedy no-no. And that's everything we're going to talk about Face the Fear. Would you like to give us a very quick overview of how people can get in touch with us or on social medias?
People can get in touch with us through all the social medias. Just look for us, Tales from the Twists. We're on all those wonderful social medias. Go to our website for all our episodes, talesfromtwist.wordpress.com. Don't forget to subscribe to us on iTunes and give us a rating. Again, as I said, right, give me a rating and a review, screen cap it and send it to me in chicken twisties, right? And I will send you a packet of chicken twisties. That's Scout's Honours.
How can somebody contribute to the episode like Pontillo has or Phil Bates in Captain Planet?
I'm glad you asked, because the best way you can join in on the fun but behind the scenes and contribute to the show, just like Pontillo's done, just like Phil does with Philosophies, is join Chicken Twisties and contribute to the episodes. We usually put out a call every week or every second week to get you guys involved with the show so you can really get your opinions heard a little bit more.
Yep. Cool. And that's it. That's the podcast, everyone.
Don't forget all the links are below in these show notes, just if you need to know where they are.
The podcast is finished now.
Woo!
We can go home and sleep.
Yes, we can. We can go home, we can sleep, but we don't want to sleep because we want to stay in a cemetery overnight to face our fears.
And with that, my name is Joe Lewis.
And I'm Anthony Bull.
Thanks very much for listening. Have a great week and stay twistosterone. That was not good. Just stay twisty. That's fine.